So don't hit rewind. It's always a good time with this trans man. It's always a good time with Zion.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to say real quick, thank y'all to everybody who was watching my last video. I got a lot of views and likes and that shit. I appreciate that so much. Like, that means a lot to me. I just want y'all to know. But to my new subscribers, welcome. Y'all gonna have a good time over here. I be telling lots of story times, vlogs here and there, and some other random shit that I be throwing in when I have the time. As y'all can see, I'm in a new space right now. I mean, new to y'all. I got the house to myself for a little bit, so I figured I'd record somewhere else because I got all this peace and quiet, so why not take the time to do a video today. It's probably not going up today because I gotta make sure my phone don't tweak out on me. So the last time I posted was what, Monday or some shit. So give me until like, I don't even know why I'm saying all this, like y'all gonna know. But when you see this video, it's probably gonna say Thursday on it. That's my goal. Thursday, latest Friday. That's my goal. But yeah, so let's talk about it, y'all. I'm just watching the time because I'm trying to watch this storage thing. It tweaked a little bit earlier. You know, my phone be bullshitting. But yeah, so this is a 3-part story. I'm gonna start up with the robbery shit, right? So y'all know Pride NYC, one of the biggest prides in the country. They do the big ass parade and the march on that last Sunday of June. So my ex and I were part of this organization, this trans organization. She's still a part of it. I'm no longer a part of it because once we broke up, you know, they was all siding with her and shit. So I kind of didn't have those people in my life no more. And it's cool, you know, shit happens. But at the time I was cool with them. So we joined them in their festivities and the shit they plan to do for Pride. So they chose to go to the march. That was my first time going to the march. Any other Pride I've been to, I always went to the parade. I was in the parade 2 years ago, which was dope. With the Garden of Dreams Foundation, I got to walk with them. That's a future story time as well, when I got to perform at Radio City Music Hall. But talking about the robbery. So yeah, we walked with them from, like, I forgot the name of that spot, but if y'all know the Tribeca area, slash Little Italy, slash Chinatown-ish. We started from like the Lafayette Street. I think we might have been on Lafayette Street or just off of it, something like that. We by Canal Street and all that, the 6 train and all that shit. And we went all the way to Washington Square Park. That's NYU territory. That's what we would call the quad because we didn't really have a campus. But the march went from Lafayette Street all the way to West 4th Street, basically. So we in the march, we walking, we chanting, we doing our shit, you know, letting the city know we in this bitch, you feel me? And we get all the way there, right? Everything's okay too, right about then. By the time we got over there, it was probably around 4 p.m. And everything was still okay. Shit was starting to pick up a little bit. And what I mean by that is music was starting to get a little louder because everybody was just arriving. There had been people who had already been in the park from the parade because the parade ended early and all that shit. But not everybody else was coming. So you could barely move in that park. Like, it's a big park, but it was like motherfucking sardines. Like, you couldn't really move. It was people everywhere. So my ex had to use the bathroom. So she wouldn't go looking for the fucking bathroom. I was hanging out with the rest of the organization and shit. She calling me, telling my son, where the fuck are you? You know, she got a little attitude problem, trying to find me. Like, it's my fault that she can't find me. You the one who has to go and piss. So I'm like, yo, I'm trying to send her directions how to get to where we at. I'm like, just put this shit in your phone and it's going to tell you where to walk to. Because we right by the library. Like, I'm trying not to think in straight up. I mean, I can't help but think in NYU terms because I know where all the buildings are. She don't fucking know. So I was like, just put this in and come. Eventually she found us. And everybody's like figuring out where they about to go next. Some people just went home, which is what we should have done. But if we do that, no. Why? Because my ex want to be outside all the motherfucking time. She want to be outside 25/8. So did we leave? No. We stayed there. We took this trans guy to the train because he didn't know how the fuck to get to the train and go back to Brooklyn. Little did we know we would be going to Brooklyn too. But everybody left. So we still there. She walking around and shit looking for people to talk to. People was blasting music here, blasting music there, twerking, drinking, smoking. That was the vibe. Okay? I haven't smoked or drank in months mainly because of medical conditions and because of some other stuff that just kind of turned me off with that shit. So it's not really my scene at the moment. But definitely my ex's scene. So she's trying to vibe with the people. Like she's a very social person. So she could go walk up to anybody. She see you throwing that, she gonna jump in that bitch with you, that, like, that kind of thing. And there was like all these girls who trying to dance on her. She trying to dance on them. Niggas trying to dance on her. I wasn't really that comfortable with all that, but like I said in the last video, she gonna do what the fuck she wanna do. So I didn't feel like fighting or nothing. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to stop her, so I just let her do her, and I was just kind of standing around. So then this random dude came up to us when she had stopped dancing for a second, trying to talk to us and shit. Just randomly started talking to us. And he was making conversation. He ends up getting our socials and all that, talking about I gotta go to my place later. I'm just hanging out here. Do y'all want to go out later? And so my ex is like, oh, we should go to the Ritz. The Ritz is like one of the most popular LGBTQIA+ clubs in New York. It's in the Times Square area. As far as I'm concerned, it is still free. So if any of y'all want to ever check it out, you shouldn't have to pay to get in. Some days of the week or every now and then they do have like $5 margaritas or something like that. They be having cheap drinks and shit like that. Normally they're not too expensive, even on a regular day with no discounts. It's not too bad. But their frozen margaritas are really good. But yeah, side note, that's a really good club. My ex suggested that we all go there because that's like our top place to go to. So the guy was like, okay, cool. And we were with a couple of other trans people that had come back around who were from the organization. They're like, oh, can we come too? And she was like, yeah, let's all go. So cool, right? That was the plan. That was the initial plan for the evening. That's how the evening was supposed to go. We were supposed to go to the Ritz that night. But that didn't fucking happen. Because people kept shouting at random times that what the fuck were they saying? That like people were walking around with guns and shit, which I'm sure they were. There were so many people. There's no way not a single person in the park had some kind of weapon on them. But people weren't really paying attention too much. You would hear it here and there, just kind of ignore it, think motherfuckers was playing. And that just kept happening. So I was waiting. I sat on a curb with, I had a little book bag on me. I had a little book bag on me. I had all my ex's shit in there, whatever I brought to, because I was just a backpack person. Like I never made her carry nothing. If I could carry by myself, I would just carry it. So she over here dancing and shit, talking to people, mingling. I'm just kind of there, sitting on the curb. While the dude was just kind of hanging around. He wasn't really joining in with the people dancing and stuff, but he was just kind of observing and enjoying the vibe and shit. I was like, I'm gonna sit my ass down. I've been walking. I'm tired. So I'm sitting on the curb. I keep glancing over to make sure my ex is still there so I don't lose her. Then all of a sudden, mad motherfuckers start running like stampede. A stampede of people just running and shit. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And before you know, all I could see was legs and shit, because it's like I'm already short and I'm on the floor, basically, because the curb was tiny. The little thing I was sitting on was small. My ass was not, my ass not big. But like, it's like, it wasn't gonna fit on that. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, I'm about to fall off this bitch. And people are just running. And I didn't even hear whatever went off. I didn't hear it. I just saw people coming, going in, because there was multiple exits and entrances to the park. So people are just going in all directions, stepping on me. Like, when I say pancake, I mean like pancake. They went, I was like, what the fuck? All I feel was shoes and shit. And I'm over here like, like this, like, right? They just going crazy. I could no longer see where my ex was. The guy that had been talking to us didn't know where the fuck he was at, or any of the other trans people that have been hanging with us. I didn't know where the fuck they were. So I got up when I finally was able to, and people stopped running that area for a second. I got up and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Some people were still running, but the majority of the stampede had stopped because people had dipped. There were still a lot of people in there, but they were leaving. And I'm looking around like freaking out because I was like, I don't know where my ex is. And I had her phone, so I couldn't call her. I didn't know where anybody was. I was just walking around towards the exit. I'm like, maybe the best thing for me to do is just leave the park and walk around this bitch until I see her. I saw her. I turned around and boom, there she was coming. I'm like, yo, what the fuck just happened? What the fuck just happened? I had never seen anything like it. Imagine you just sit and mind your business and then boom, people just start running. And you just hear people screaming and shit. And you don't know why they're screaming or anything like that. It was just crazy. I was so shook. I didn't even realize the book bag I had wasn't on me no more. Just remember that part. The book, I didn't even realize that shit. I was just trying to find my ex to make sure she was okay. Cause I was like, I need to find her. I can't call her. So she's like, yo, what the fuck? We all trying to figure out the fuck just happened. Motherfuckers is walking around talking about somebody had a gun. Somebody going bop, bop, bop. Somebody is shooting. Who the fuck is shooting in this bitch? I'm like, I'm not saying it's a far-fetched thing, because it's pride. We got the people who are trying to, that literally want to unalive us. So I was like, if that's what actually happened, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you come to these things to celebrate your, or if you're an ally, but shit can pop off. Regardless of how beautiful and positive you try to be, shit can still pop off. So, allegedly, somebody had a gun and started shooting through the crowd, so that's why people started running. I guess it was like way over the other side of the park, but because they were all coming from the right side, they said boom, like that. It was crazy. So everybody settled down. Some people were still with their music and their food and refreshments and things like that. So we're just kind of sitting there debating on whether we should leave or not. We should have just left. We should have just left. I don't know. I'm trying to remember why we still stood in there. Because, if I had been with myself, that would have been a wrap. But whatever reason we stayed in there, we should have just gone. Because I'm like, we had already figured out what we were going to do. And I low-key was trying to get out of going to the club because I really did not want to go. At that point, I had stopped going out because of my ex. She was always doing too much when we went out to the club. So I stopped going. But a couple of minutes later, while she's still talking to everybody, I realized, I go like this, and I'm like, where is my bag? I kept going like this, and I was like, don't freak out, just breathe. Just breathe. So I took my breath. I said, she's not even going to pay attention, because she's not worried about where the fuck I'm at. So I said, let me just go over to where I was sitting at. Hopefully the bag would just be sitting there. Maybe the way I got up, it just slipped off. So I'm like, okay, let me go and check. I go to the exact area I was sitting at, because it wasn't that far from where I walked over to. I knew exactly where I had been sitting at. I look across from that area. I look in that general area. I look in the grass. I don't see the bag. So now I'm starting to freak out because there was a lot of important stuff in that bag. And I didn't even go and tell my ex yet. I was so scared to tell her. As a man, I can admit I had some fear of my ex because of some things that started happening, the way she was treating me. And she was a lot taller and bigger than I was. So I was scared that she was going to she might have already hit me by then. But that's a separate story as well. But I was scared to tell her. So I went and go told our new friend. I went and go told him. I don't know where the bag is. He's like, oh my God. Do you remember the last place you had it? I'm like, and I explained to him, like, yeah, I remember all that, but it wasn't there. So I think somebody took it. In the midst of all that, I don't think they managed to reach down and take it off me like that, because I feel like I would have. But maybe I wouldn't have felt it, because there were so many people stampeding and stepping on me. Maybe I wouldn't have felt it. So either they took it like that, or just the force from all of that running, it slipped off and somebody picked it up. And in the midst of that, which would be crazy to just see a bag and just pick it up while you're running. So maybe that sounds a little far-fetched. Y'all let me know in the comments if you think it was that, or my other thing I was thinking happened was somebody just, once everything died down a little bit, they just went and picked it up and left. Or maybe they picked it up, had time to open it, because it took me a little minute to figure out that I didn't have the bag on me anymore. So they opened it, definitely saw some shit worth taking to them in there, and dipped. That's what I also think might have happened. Because in that bag was a decent amount of cash. Should we have had that much cash on us? No. But we did. You know, you gotta acknowledge your mistakes in situations. But yeah, we had way too much money on us. It was beyond loose change, just put it that way. My ex's ID, her house key, her apartment keys, what else was in there? What's her phone? Her AirPods, yeah, her AirPods, because that's gonna be the next part of the story. Her AirPods, I think I had, luckily, oh yeah, I had these pants on. I don't remember what the fuck I had on. I had these pants that had hella pockets. These cargo-ish pants. So I had her phone in there. So luckily they didn't take the phone too. They couldn't because it was zipped to me. Like I had it in there and it was zipped. So that was good. But her ID, her AirPods, the money we had in there, I think that was the main shit that I can remember. Her keys. All that shit was gone. So I was like, I have no choice but to tell her because she's gonna notice at some point, and if I don't say something right away, she's gonna be even more pissed than she's about to be. So I just had to rip the band-aid off and be like, babe, I think in the midst of the whole stampede thing and people thinking people were shooting and all this shit and they run out the park, somebody took the bag. Or like right after they took the bag, and she looking at me like, she didn't freak out right away, but she was kind of like, the fuck do you mean they took the bag? And she went over to the same area I was sitting at, saw the shit was gone. And then once she started getting pissed was when she started remembering all the stuff that was in the bag. Her house keys and the AirPods. That's what, I mean, she was disappointed about the money, but she was mainly pissed about the keys and the AirPods. Understandable. So we were trying to track it. And it said it was in Brooklyn. Where in Brooklyn? By this club/bar thing called the Purgatory. Which I'm not gonna say who, I know who owns the club. I'm just gonna say it's a black-owned club. One of her old friends who runs that joint, right? But that's what I'm gonna say. It's in Brooklyn. It's called the Purgatory. If you want to check it out, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool on the inside. It's not bad. Depends on the day you go, to be honest. Sometimes they had a soca night one time and all that, so that was cool. Not the best experience for me, but the music wise is good, you know. As I'm thinking of these things, I just want to insert this information in for y'all. But yeah, so we were like, fuck, we gotta go all the way to Brooklyn, and she was determined too. It was gonna take us a good hour to get there from where we were, that part of Brooklyn. I forgot what stop that is, but we had to take the L train, I think. So we went from 8th Street NYU to 14th Street Union Square. I don't think that's more than a subway stop, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, I can't fucking remember it. But yeah. So we went to Union Square and we took the L train. We're on the train and I'm sitting there. And she kind of went back and forth between blaming me and not blaming me. And I'm just like, yo, how the fuck can you blame me for that? The fuck? I didn't try to make that happen. Especially dealing with you. I already know how you are. I didn't try to make that shit happen. So we get to Brooklyn. By the time we get there, it's dark out. Because the train, that day, you know, trying to take the subway on Pride is ridiculous because it's the mad delays. So we were already waiting for the train for like 30 minutes anyways. So by the time we got to Brooklyn, it was dark as hell outside. And we're looking at the directions. Okay, we set the directions. We're walking literally down the street from the Purgatory. That's how close we were. And we get to this house that had, how do you say it? It was like a house type of thing, and then only 2 people live in there. I don't know what the hell that's called, but they had, let's just say, random doors, 5A, 5B. That might have actually been the door numbers, I think. Or 4A, 4B, something like that. We rang the A first. I don't think we got a response. So we rang B. And some guy kept hearing us ring the thing. So he came out on his he had a balcony. He came out the top like, hi, can I help y'all? And we were like, we're looking for some AirPods. They said they were here. He was like, I'm sorry, I haven't seen any. Da-da-da-da-da. When that guy came, something just in my gut feeling told me he was lying. But I was like, how the fuck am I going to get him to come downstairs? I don't know. You know, I tried to think about all this shit. I don't know if he has something on him. It's unfortunate, but Like, we don't have anything to defend ourselves. Lord forbid this is a cycle we're dealing with. This could go south very quickly. So I was just like, look, I'll get you new AirPods. When we get to the building, they can get you new keys. You're going to have to order a new ID. And the cash is the cash. It's not like I was broke because the cash was gone, but it would have been nice to still have that money. But we went on our way, basically we went on our way to Brooklyn for nothing. Right? So then my ex had to pee. So we went to the purgatory so she could go pee. I don't even know if we saw her friend there or not, but we weren't in there for that long. But she went to go pee. We get back on the train. She's still, you could tell she was pissed still and things like that, but she was trying to take it out on me at that point. She was just trying to laugh it off to keep from like completely losing her shit, which is very not like her, but I appreciated it because like, I'd rather you sit and laugh and all this than be freaking out on me. So that was that. We just let it go. It was what it was. We did what we could to try and get the shit back, but we couldn't. So I think we even spoke to a cop at some point, but I don't know what the hell they said. Like, oh yeah, you could file a missing. I don't know. They weren't very helpful, so we didn't even, whatever they told us to do, we didn't do it. Because I don't know if they said to file or if they said they couldn't help. I don't know. Which was, I don't know. There was so much shit going on already. AirPods and some cash was the last thing on their fucking mind. So where did my ex want to go back to? Where did she want to go back to, y'all? The park. She wanted. I was like, yo, are you fucking stupid? What are we going back to the park though? I just got robbed over there. What are we going back to the park? At this point, we definitely should have been like, let's just go back to the Bronx, right? Let's just go back to the Bronx so we don't run into no more trouble. But like I said, Miss Outside never did go home yet. Miss Outside trying to be on the streets. So she was like, nah, I want to go back to them. I'm like, well, I'm not going to let you go by yourself. She was like, you could go back if you want. They'll just let you. I'm like, I didn't want her out there by herself. In retrospect, I probably should just let her go. Fuck it. Save myself all this trouble. But I went with her because I felt like as her man, I got to, make sure she's okay. Da-da-da-da-da. So we get on the train. We go all the way back to Manhattan. Right back to 8th Street, NYU. We get off the train. We're right back in the park. Since some of her gay friends were like, oh, we finna be out here. You want to link if you're still out here? She's like, yeah, bet, let's link. Because the club and all that shit was out. Because her ID was gone. So she figured, oh, let's just hang out in the park. It was a lot less crowded in Washington Square Park by then. But there was so much glass on the floor because people were throwing bottles, dropping bottles and shit. And everybody was just 10 times drunk than they had been when we were first there. So I was ready to go because there was so much trash on the ground and it was just grossing me out. It just felt very icky. And the glass and all that, I didn't want to keep walking on glass. The entire park was just filled with glass. I had never seen anything like it. So I'm like, okay, whatever, we're here. Nothing seems to be popping off right now. Someone tried to pull the hose. Someone got a gun, then they shooting thing again. But only a small amount of people ran. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any gunshots. So I was like, I think we're fine. I think they're just trying to play games right now. Which was not fucking funny. But I think that's what they were trying to do. So we're walking. My ex asked me to record her doing a little TikTok. She wanted to do a little whine, a little slow whine, whatever. I record her doing the shit. Cool. Then we meet up with her gay friends and some of the other people that they were with, and things are starting to get real rowdy again because people were getting mad drunk and trying to fight cops, trying to fight each other, trying to fight cops. The cops was trying to get people out the park. They was about to close the park because shit was getting that crazy. We literally were walking down the street by the side of the park, and we saw a cop dog the shit out of this girl. She swung at him. I don't remember if she hit him or not, but she swung at him. Then he went boom, socked her dead in the face. And everybody was like, yo, what the fuck? And it was getting everybody mad because you already know the energy with cops. I don't fuck with police as it is. So I was like, oh, hell no, this shit's crazy. I was really ready to go after that because I'm like, I can feel the energy inside me getting real. Like my blood was boiling when I seen that shit. Because I'm like, I'm not saying she should have punched him, but like, she was a small girl. Like, he ain't have to do all that. So people starting to get crazy. They trying to get us out the park, but everybody else at the park. By then, we were walking towards the pier. Is it the Christopher Pier, I believe? We were trying to get over to that area. Cause like the park, they shutting it down. Police is starting to, they're trying to get a little wild. So it's like, we gotta go. The police is yelling at people, you gotta go get the, all this shit. People getting agitated at them. Because there's so many people. We're not going to be able to leave in 1 second. We're trying our best we can to leave. At least we were. We're walking. Some people start walking back towards the park. I was like, Lord of fucking mercy. But I wasn't trying to pay too much attention to them. Like, that's not my business. We know where we're trying to get to. Let's keep it pushing. But the cops decided that's when they were going to pepper spray those people. And the way pepper spray is, it travels. That shit is so fucking strong. They sprayed that shit from the back of the block. We were this close to being by the pier. They sprayed that shit from the back of the park. It traveled, and boom. All of a sudden, it just hit me. When I tell you that was the most painful thing, and I've been through a lot of shit. That was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. When soon as it hit me, I was like, you're immediately disoriented. Like, my eyes were burning. My throat was burning. I was coughing. Mind you, I got asthma. My throat was burning. I'm coughing. I felt like I was going to throw up at the same time. I felt like I was going to pass out too because I was just lightheaded and in pain. Like, my whole face was tripping. And I started freaking out because I was like, yo, am I dying? I had never been pepper sprayed before. I was like, I don't know how the fuck this is going to go. Do I need to go to the hospital? My mind was just racing. I again lose my ex because people started frantically trying to run again once they felt the pepper spray. People were like, oh, they pepper spraying, they pepper spraying, oh shit. Like, you just hearing different things like that. And then they barricaded the end of the block. How the fuck are y'all trying to get us to leave? And then when you start pepper spraying, that's when you want to put barricades up. Be fucking for real. It's giving y'all trying to kill us. Because majority of us was black and Hispanic. I ain't barely see no white people there at that point. So I'm like, it's giving y'all trying to kill us right now. I'm literally begging the cop at the front of the barricade, like, please let us through, please. I need an ambulance or something. Like, I was hysterical. Because that pain, it was so much pepper spray. I was literally on the ground coughing. Like, I could not breathe. That shit was that was a terrifying experience. Terrifying. I never in my life did I think I was going to be pepper sprayed. Like, I never thought I'd be in a situation where I would have the potentiality to be pepper sprayed. I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I'm like, yo, is my ex okay? Is she good? Because she got health problems too. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Is everybody that we was just with okay? And eventually I found her. I was so pissed and over it. Like, at that point, I was just kind of quiet because I was just done. Like, I was like, yo, what the fuck? That shit was pissing me off so bad. Oh my God. Because the cops were just staring at us. Like, it just felt kind of deliberate. Like, yeah, they were trying to pepper spray, but like, you could at least let us leave. It's the fact that they didn't try to let us leave that's always stuck with me. It made me feel like they were trying to kill us. I didn't like that. Like, the majority of the effects had slowed down, but I was very agitated. I had a headache, and I was just out of it because that shit was so fucking strong. And I'm like, yo, they just pepper sprayed my ex. Like, yeah, I know. Like, they just got everybody. Like, what? That shit was crazy. The whole block. And by then, I was really like, let's just go back. But we couldn't go back. I completely forgot that I had a third part of the story. So I'm just going to have to explain that the best that I can. But on our way out of the park, when we were still waiting for her friends to come, Washington Square Park has this big ass like pool thing in the middle. Our fountain, I should say. I said pool, Jesus. Fountain. And people do all kinds of shit in there. I'll just put it like that. So it's not some shit you really want to be walking in. I can't believe I have to say that. There's some shit you don't really want to be walking in. But my ex dumb ass decided that she was gonna go and hop in that bitch because people were playing volleyball in the fountain. The dirty ass, crusty ass, ruggedy ass fountain. I said, that's not my girl. I'm sorry, at this point in time, I do not claim you. I do not claim you because you're embarrassing me. What is wrong with you? But people are so fucking drunk and shit, nobody is giving a fuck. They're just doing whatever. At that point, like, yeah, this shit's not fun because this is dumb shit you're doing. It's not even fun. It's dumb shit. So she hops in there playing the volleyball and shit. And she took off her shoes and her socks before she went in. Let me say that again. She took off her shoes and her socks, y'all. I said, be fucking for real. It's bad enough that you went into the fountain, but the fact that you took your shoes and your socks off and God knows what is in that motherfucker, you're fucking crazy. So she's in there for like a good 10 minutes. She gets out. Her foot is bleeding. And I was like, oh God. She got a cut from something in there. Some glass or something in the pool, in the fountain. I keep saying pool. In the fountain. And I'm starting to freak out because it just became, it was like a little bit of blood and then it was starting to increase heavily fast. And this girl was sitting on the edge of the fountain and she saw it. She's like, oh damn, I got a cut. And the girl was like, she needs something to like wrap that shit up because she gonna lose blood really fast and that's not gonna be good. The only thing I had on top wise was my binder and my pride jacket thing that I threw out because of that and because it reminded me of my ex. But mainly because of that, what I'm about to say. I had to use it as a, forgive me if I say this wrong, tourniquet, that thing to wrap so it starts bleeding, that thing. I had to use that. So I had to take that off and wrap her foot up to try and slow down the bleeding until we got her to the hospital. So I was walking around with just my binder on, which I hated because, not that I was trying to hide the fact that I was trans or anything, but I didn't want to be out like that with my binder. I never go out like that. I'd rather, if I was going to do that, just put some tape. Like I've seen people do like the binding tape. I'd rather that, but I didn't like the way my binder looked. And I'm just out here walking around like I have a little ass crop top on. I didn't like that shit. I had no choice though, because that was all I had to wrap. I'm like, I'm not walking around in my underwear, so this is the next best thing. So I wrapped it around her foot. The girl was trying to guide me to do it because I was like, I never done it before. I wanted to make sure I did it right. So she helped me. I said, thank you. Cool. She's walking around with my jacket, my pride jacket on her foot. As a tourniquet, however you say it. And, a wise person would have been like, oh, let's go to the... Okay, the wise person was me. I said, let's go to the hospital to get your foot checked out. You might need some stitches or something. Let's go. She didn't want to go. She's still trying to be outside. She's like, oh, I'll be fine with this thing on my foot. I'll be fine. And I just knew she wasn't going to be fine. I just knew it. But she wasn't fucking listening to me. I kept trying to convince her, let's go. And that's when the pepper spray shit happened, like right after that. Because we were making our way down the block. She was like, let's just get to the end of here, see what this last thing is. And then once we get to the pier, I'll make it to the hospital. I said, okay, fine. So we're going. And that's when the pepper spray shit that I just explained to you happened. And at that point, I was over it because I'm like, I'm walking around in my binder. My eyes and my head hurt still. And your priorities are all over the fucking place. You're not trying to leave. You're not trying to go to the hospital. You were just saying that shit. She wasn't trying to go to the hospital until she started feeling lightheaded because she had lost that much blood at that point. Like, it was slowed it down, but not enough for that not to happen. So she was lightheaded. She's like, I feel I'm going to faint. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Luckily, no, there was an ambulance right there. No, I'm tripping. So, pause. Not luckily anything. I think one of the people we would call 911 tried to tell them where we were at. Luckily, they found us and we got her into the ambulance. We went to, I think, New York Presbyterian, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. We went somewhere over there, or they have one by Union Square. That's the hospital we went to. That's where they took us to in the ambulance. She's like, who are you? I'm her boyfriend, da-da-da-da-da. And then she started lying. She didn't want to admit that she took her shoes and her socks off and went in the fountain. She told them that somehow something cut through her shoe. You know how crazy that sounds when they're literally looking at the shoe and they can see that there's no cut or anything. But she ran with that narrative from the time she got into the ambulance to the time she was discharged. And by the time we get to the hospital, it was late. it was late. It was like 11, 12 at night. So we're in there getting her checked in, and they check her out. And they're like, she's gonna need stitches. So she's not feeling that shit because she's like, stitches is gonna hurt. And I'm like, maybe they can numb your foot. But her mind was freaking her out. I tried to calm her down, but she literally was like one of those people that wouldn't let you try and comfort her in any way. So the doctor, I don't remember what he said to convince her to just let them do the stitches, but there wasn't really many different ways you could say, if you don't do this, you could lose your foot. Like, that is the reality of the situation. Go through this couple of minutes of uncomfortableness, a little bit of pain, and numbing it, feeling a little bit weird, so that your foot can heal, or lose your motherfucking foot. Those are the two options you have. What is it going to be? So they convinced her. So they're doing this. We had this lovely nurse. He was calming, talking her through it and everything, and he got her through the shit. Cause I'm like, you could probably do a better job than me, because she's just a pain in the ass to me. So you do what you gotta do. He did it. I was like, thank you, God. They let us out around 4 a.m. ish. All this time I passed. You know how long it takes in the emergency room sometimes. And there's other people in there for other situations. Like Pride is like New Year's. It's like shit just be like July 4th. Shit, all this extra shit happens around the holidays or certain days. So that was that. So we left the hospital around 4 a.m. We had about an hour's trip because we were in Union Square. So a little further uptown than before, but we still had a ways to go. We got on the 4 train all the way back to the Bronx. And then it took us a minute. It took us a minute to get to our apartment because, like, the way the train was, you have to go all the way down this street, past that park I was talking about in the last video, then turn and go all the way down. And her foot is wrapped up in stitch, so she has to go slow. So I'm, waiting for her. She's like, oh, you don't have to wait for me. Guess the fuck I do. Because if some other super shit pop up, I'm making sure you get to the apartment. So it's like she wouldn't let me do my job. I'm like, yeah, shit is still going on because you're fucking dumb as hell sometimes. But I'm not just gonna sit back and let extra shit potentially happen. So I kept waiting for her, even though she told me not to. We walking. We eventually get to the apartment. I don't remember how long this took, but we eventually get there to find out that both of the elevators have broken down. I was like, Lord Jesus, what are you trying to tell me today? What are you trying to tell me? I mean, I could come up with a couple of ideas, but that's what I was saying in my mind. I was so tired and over everything. I just wanted to sleep. So, mind you, we didn't have the keys because that's one of the things that got stolen that was in my bag. So they had to walk up with us. She lived on the 11th floor. It was a 12th floor building. She lived on the 11th floor. So we had to walk up 11 flights of stairs. And these are long stairs too. Not short flights. Long flights of stairs. All the way to the 11th floor. She's walking up with her foot all stitched up. She can barely walk because of all the pain she was still in. And she walked up that bitch barefoot. Barefoot, walked up 11 flights of stairs. We're going with the security, the door person, however the fuck you say it, all the way up, and we eventually get to the door. And I don't think she even changed out of what she was wearing. I mean, yeah, she didn't change. She just went straight to sleep. And that was that. And it took me a while to sleep because even though I was exhausted, it's hard for me to sleep in the daytime. And there's so much light that comes into her apartment because she had big ass windows. So it took me a second to sleep. But I was just mentally exhausted. I was supposed to have I was supposed to have therapy that morning. I said, due to unforeseen circumstances, I'm not going to be in therapy today. I'm not about to get up for therapy in 3 fucking hours. It's not happening. I didn't get up until like 2 p.m. that afternoon. And that was that. And I kept re-bandaging her foot and all that shit for her. And I had to go home because I had to pick up a package, which is a future story time.